If God is truth, then the Church demonstrates this, or ought to. Because the Church is a creation of the reborn, it is erected over time out of the miasma of this world's sin. Therefore, the Church is an objective, an end to which the believer aspires. Because the Church is not the world and the world is not the Church, the difference can be observed. The question is, if the difference can be measured. Is the difference objective or simply subjective? A believer must believe that the difference between this world and the next is visible and real. But even atheists believe that the believer has attributes not found in an atheist. So we all believe that the Church is an identifiable entity. The question remains, is this difference a measurable one and thus amenable to scientific analysis? To address this question, we must understand the nature of a scientific experiment. A scientific experiment is a systematic and methodological approach to investigating phenomena, acquiring new knowledge or correcting and integrating previous knowledge. It is characterized by the use of controlled observations and measurements, formulation of hypotheses, and the testing of these hypotheses through rigorous and repeatable procedures. Scientific experiments rely on several key principles: observation, careful observation of phenomena to gather data and identify patterns or anomalies. Hypothesis, formulating a testable statement or prediction based on observations and existing knowledge. Experimentation, designing and conducting controlled experiments to test the hypothesis, often involving manipulation of variables and collection of quantitative data. Replication, repeating experiments to ensure that results are consistent and reliable. Analysis, analyzing data using statistical methods to determine the significance and validity of the results. Conclusion, drawing conclusions based on the experimental evidence and evaluating whether the hypothesis is supported or refuted. Communication, sharing findings with the scientific community and the public through publications and presentations. In the context of the Church as an experiment, the challenge lies in applying these scientific principles to measure and analyze the difference between the Church and the world. While the attributes of believers may be observable and the impact of the Church may be studied, the subjective nature of faith and spirituality often eludes purely empirical scrutiny. Thus, the intersection of science and religion presents a unique and complex field of inquiry, where both objective and subjective elements must be considered. At least this is what the world assumes. But the world assumes truth is found in materiality, not spirituality. No amount of experimentation when tied to the material world will give us faith. Every solution derived by experiment opens 100 other issues. Because no experiment resolves all the issues, every conclusion is questioned in a dozen different ways, which only leaves us in greater doubt than before. Material science could never provide us with a proof of God. But this ought not cause us any discomfort because empirical science cannot provide us with conclusive evidence that physical reality exists. Indeed, quite the opposite. The more we research the physical world, the less certain and less solid it seems. However, the reality is, we live in the fallen world. We are all born into a world outside of Eden. To extricate ourselves out of this world requires death. Only death allows us to escape this world. When we are born, we are physical beings. We grow into physically mature persons over time. We are also born spiritually immature. Spiritual maturity does not come about naturally. Spiritual maturity comes from faith. We must learn to trust one another. But for this to happen, we must prove ourselves trustworthy. Trust is the bedrock of all human relationships, from personal connections to professional associations. It is a fundamental aspect of our social fabric, essential for cooperation, communication, and the overall functioning of society. Without trust, relationships falter, institutions crumble, and progress stalls. Trust is a concept that encompasses reliability, dependability, and confidence in others. It is the assurance that one can rely on the intentions, words, and actions of others. Trust is not given lightly, it must be earned and maintained through consistent and honest behavior. In personal relationships, trust is paramount. It allows for intimacy, vulnerability, and genuine connection. Trust enables individuals to share their deepest thoughts, fears, and aspirations without the fear of judgment or betrayal. It fosters a sense of security and emotional safety, which is crucial for the development and maintenance of healthy relationships. When trust is present, relationships thrive. Couples, friends, and family members feel supported and understood, knowing that they can rely on each other. Conversely, when trust is broken, the repercussions can be devastating. Betrayal, dishonesty, and inconsistency can lead to mistrust, resentment, and the eventual disintegration of relationships. In the professional realm, trust is equally important. It underpins effective teamwork, collaboration, and organizational success. Trust between colleagues, managers, and employees fosters a positive work environment where individuals feel valued and respected. It encourages open communication, innovation, and risk-taking, all of which are essential for growth and development. Leaders who cultivate trust within their teams are more likely to inspire loyalty, commitment, and high performance. Employees who trust their leaders are more engaged, motivated, and willing to go above and beyond their duties. Trust also reduces conflicts and misunderstandings, as it promotes transparency and accountability. On a broader scale, trust is essential for the functioning of society. It is the foundation of social order, governance, and economic stability. Trust in institutions, such as the government, judiciary, and law enforcement, ensures that citizens feel safe and protected. It enables the smooth operation of markets, as consumers and businesses rely on the integrity of transactions and contracts. A lack of trust in societal institutions can lead to unrest, corruption, and a breakdown of social cohesion. It erodes the very fabric of society, leading to skepticism, cynicism, and division. Therefore, maintaining and restoring trust in these institutions is crucial for the well-being and prosperity of society. Trust also plays a significant role in spiritual growth and maturity. As noted, spiritual maturity comes from faith, and faith inherently involves trust. Trusting in a higher power, in the teachings of a religion, and in the spiritual community can provide individuals with a sense of purpose, meaning, and direction. For spiritual maturity to occur, individuals must learn to trust not only in divine providence but also in themselves and others. This trust is built through experiences, challenges, and the nurturing of one's faith. It requires a willingness to be open, vulnerable, and receptive to spiritual guidance. Trust therefore is a triad of trust in self, others, and God. Building and maintaining trust is not without its challenges. Human nature, with its flaws and imperfections, can make trust a fragile and elusive quality. Fear, insecurity, past experiences, and societal influences can all hinder the development of trust. To overcome these challenges, it is essential to practice empathy, active listening, and effective communication. Being honest, consistent, and transparent in our actions can help to build trust over time. It is also important to be patient, as trust is often built gradually and can be easily damaged by even minor transgressions. The consequences of broken trust can be far-reaching and profound. In personal relationships, it can lead to emotional pain, loneliness, and a loss of connection. In professional settings, it can result in decreased morale, productivity, and collaboration. On a societal level, it can lead to instability, conflict, and a loss of social capital. Rebuilding trust after it has been broken is a challenging and lengthy process. It requires genuine remorse, accountability, and a commitment to change. Forgiveness and reconciliation may also play a role in restoring trust, but these are not guaranteed outcomes. The journey to rebuild trust is often fraught with difficulties, but it is a crucial step towards healing and growth. In conclusion, trust is a vital component of all human interactions. It is the foundation upon which relationships, organizations, and societies are built. Trust fosters cooperation, communication, and mutual respect, enabling individuals and communities to thrive. While trust can be challenging to build and maintain, it is essential for personal, professional, and societal well-being. By prioritizing trust and demonstrating integrity in our actions, we can create a more connected, harmonious, and prosperous world. However, only those who are spiritually mature are able to experience and encourage trust. The way this is accomplished creates the elements of an experiment, because those who are outside of the church do not have the means to develop trust in the spiritual sense. This is why other groups use the law to maintain order. These other groups serve as a control group because what the experiment needs is a common denominator in all groups outside of the true Christian church. This common denominator is a chronic lack of trust, or faith. There is no church without faith and no Christian who does not have faith. As a Christian, one cannot even put the protection of property above the need to have faith in one's Christian brothers and sisters. This is not some arcane doctrine dug out of the deepest recesses of a subjective experience. Civilization requires faith, because civilization is predicated on specialization. Specialization does not work, unless we make ourselves vulnerable to betrayal. We need to have faith in the honesty and morality of others, or specialization does not work. If we do not have faith, we live in a subsistence culture. The spiritually immature always attempt to remain dependents or parasites. If they do any work or make any effort, they attempt to benefit only themselves. It takes faith to stop hunting and concentrate on making arrowheads, expecting others will purchase your arrowheads with meat and the other things you need. But until people stop producing for themselves, and start producing for the community, civilization will not develop. But people will not and cannot immediately eliminate all concern for themselves to begin to expend their energies entirely on benefiting the community, in the expectation everyone else will also do the same. It is a long, slow process from self-sufficiency to specialization. However, as we learn to specialize and as our faith grows, the church develops. It is an experiment. As we learn to trust and find our trust is returned, we venture more into specialization. We compare the results of specialization with the experience of the fallen world. To move this experience beyond the realm of subjectivity, there has to be an objective measure of comparison, and this is the value of the church. The church is the assets devoted to God. They have a value, and the work of believers adds value to these assets. The value of this work can be measured, and this gives us an objective measure of our performance as compared to the performance of the fallen world. The church, being built on faith, is also built through and by specialization. It is inconceivable we can claim to have faith while remaining insular. We must be charitable to permit specialization to occur unimpeded.